and Preventing Violent Extremism in East Africa program in partnership with COICA. We are an international cooperation agency. COICA has multiple main values, but one of the things that their previous projects have taught them is that if you implement a standalone project, then the have helped them to newly design this current program, which allows a more effective response to transnational crises with longer term support. And I think that's extremely important as we go into the rest of our program this morning. All of this happen while building strategic partnerships such as this one. I reminded us earlier about Mother Teresa's saying, so let me do it one more time as we kick off the Sorry about that. I think we're having slight technical issues. Let me try this microphone. Mother Teresa's reminder as we kick off this program launch today is simply, peace begins with a smile. So as we proceed today, remember to keep smiling, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I would love to just give us a few housekeeping rules. I'd ask that we keep our phones on silent. If you do need to take an urgent call, you can use the corridors on either side. The washrooms are available on this floor. Wi-Fi is also available. The passcode is UNDP. And for those of you online, if you need anything, let us know. I believe there will also be some documentation provided for you, but you should be able to access it as you watch through the screens today. Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin, it is now my pleasure to introduce Zainu Umar, Director, UNDP Resilience Hub, on behalf of the co-chair to deliver her opening remarks. Please welcome him with a round of applause.
First, I have to appreciate the moderator for excellent start she gave us. You know, it's very impressive. I have to recognize that. Then I will continue to recognize the important people in the room. First, I would like to recognize Dr. Raymond Omolo, PS for State Department for Internal Security and National Administration. Then Song Gihan, Deputy Director, COICA, Kenya. Mahmoud Humad, Deputy Director, IGAD Center of Excellence for Preventing, Countering Violent Extremism. Susan Dam Hassan, Manager AI, UNDP Regional Hub for Arab States. My brother, Excellency Ambassador Jabir Ibrahim, Ambassador of the Federal Republic of Somalia. My dear colleagues, RRs from Kenya, Tony, Mohammed, and Leonel from Somalia, South Sudan, and Kenya, respectively. Representatives of embassies, present partners, development partners, and national counterparts in Kenya, Somalia, and South Sudan. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you all to the launch of the Peace Building and Preventing Violent Extremism in East Africa program, which will be implemented in Kenya, Somalia, and South Sudan. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to all of you, both in person here in Nairobi and online, for joining us today. Your presence here from national and local partners, governments, the UN family, the regional organizations, embassies, civil society organizations, research centers, think tanks, and academia underscores the widespread interest and commitment to supporting peace building and prevention of violent extremism in East Africa. UNDP is delighted to partner with the Korean International Cooperation Agency, COICA, to launch this new program under our strategic partnership framework. This collaboration specifically focuses on addressing the pressing issues of peace building and preventing violent extremism in this region. We are also grateful for the invaluable partnership and collaboration with the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, and the national counterparts from Kenya, Somalia, and South Sudan. Globally, we are grappling with a multitude of challenges, including political instability, climate change factors, conflict, and security threats. These complex issues require comprehensive and multifaceted strategies that engage governments, communities, and civil society. A whole of government and whole of society approach coupled with community engagement and localized solutions with a focus on inclusion, in particular women and youth, is essential to effectively address these challenges as highlighted in the new agenda for peace. In this regard, the main objective of our new program in East Africa is to build communities that are more resilient against violent extremism and violent conflict, and to live in an environment that is more conducive for sustaining peace to enable people to fulfill their full potential. UNDP has gathered insights, lessons learned, and good practices from years of hands-on experience in regional, national, and local prevention and peace-building programming across Africa. What we saw in UNDP's Journey to Extremism report from 2023 is that of livelihoods and socioeconomic support serves as important catalyst for increased resilience and hope for better future. The report shows that 25% voluntary recruits respondents cited employment opportunities as their primary reason for joining violent extremism groups, and after the interventions, they had hope for better future. From our experience, we have learned that by strengthening peace-building infrastructure, preventing violent extremism, and promoting community empowerment and socioeconomic resilience, this program aims to positively impact local communities, countries, and the entire region. The program integrates peace-building and violent extremism prevention into sustainable development policy frameworks, emphasizing long-term preventive approaches, coordinated strategies, and socioeconomic resilience while strengthening governance and peace infrastructure. UNDP remains committed to prioritizing holistic development solutions to address insecurity, including violent extremism in Africa. We value our partnership with the African Union, IGAD, and national partners in this endeavor in this region. Let's work together to address the challenge of violent extremism in East Africa and build a more peaceful and prosperous future for all. As the UN Secretary General said in his remark to the General Assembly in February earlier this year, peace can achieve wonders that wars never will. Wars destroy, peace builds. But in today's troubled world, building peace is a conscious, bold, and even radical act. It is humanity's greatest responsibility. That responsibility belongs to us all, individually and collectively. In this difficult and divided moment, let's meet that that obligation for today and future generation, starting here, starting now. Thank you very much.
Very much, Zainu Umar, for kicking us off with those powerful remarks and those statistics. Simply looking for jobs. This is why 25% of these young people join these groups, because they're looking for employment opportunities. So thank you for that reminder, even from our Secretary General, that it is a radical act. In fact, I think our new phrase should be peace, extreme peace. I think that's what we're aiming to achieve. Next, we will hear from Suzanne Damhansen, the manager, UNDP Regional Hub for Arab States. She will be joining us virtually. Suzanne, it's nice to see you. Let's just confirm that Suzanne's audio. Yes, we can hear you. Karibu sana, and over to you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, dear colleagues, dear friends, it's really a pleasure to be able to join this event today. I'm sorry I'm not there in person, but I'm happy we have several team members with you, and also our rep from Somalia. So at the outset, let me join my colleague, Dr. Zeno, to welcome you all to this launch of this multi-country program, Peace Building and Preventing Violent Extremism in East Africa, in collaboration with our key partner, Quaker. The joint initiative with Quaker is part of the new strategic partnership framework, specifically focusing on peace building and preventing PVE in Africa. This program is particularly very important, as we have heard from my colleague, that it really is part of our overall peace building efforts. I was very happy when our facilitator this morning went around the room to talk about what is peace building, how do you see peace? We all have our perspective on peace, and we all have our role in peace. This program is really part of our UNDP regional approach to PVE. It's also really part, as I said, of the wider peace-building efforts, and it's very much in line with UNDP's crisis and prevention offer that many of you will be familiar with. We really want to emphasize, as Seno has also done, that our leadership in the field of PVE. We would like to highlight our role as the thought leader. Many of you will know the reports that Seno also referred to, and really the importance of the socioeconomic factors as the primary drivers of PVE. Additionally, underscore a report's insight that resource scarcity acts as a catalyst for local conflicts, and it really enhances the vulnerabilities and fostering environments that conduct extremism. This evidence underscores the need for comprehensive context-sensitive strategies in addressing the root cause of violent extremism. We need to understand what's happening in the communities and the societies that we are working with, so we can better target our intervention, and we can better equip the people that we are trying to help with tools, with resources that allows them to make an informed choice, and they're allowed to choose the peaceful way. The primary goal of this program is to strengthen community resilience through the integrated socioeconomic development and improve livelihoods. This creates positive impacts at the local level, particularly with women and youth. And here it's very important to remember the people we're trying to help and the different target groups. And I really want to emphasize the focus on women and youth. Focus on socioeconomic well-being. This initiative has the potential for a multiplier effect, benefiting not only local communities, but also contributing to broader regional stability and growth. I would also like to reinforce our commitment to deliver integrated development solutions that address insecurity, the root cause of conflict, and violent extremism in Africa. I acknowledge the valuable partnership UND has with the African Union, regional economic communities, and such as IGAD, as well as national local partners in advancing these efforts. Sena was kind enough to acknowledge all of you in the room, and I also want to acknowledge all the partners we work with on a day-to-day basis. I also want to take this opportunity to express our sincere gratitude to the Quaker colleagues Quaker partners that we work very closely with, and for their generous contribution, emphasizing the critical importance of collaborative efforts in tackling violent extremism in East Africa. highlight the need for this increased investment in prevention as a key step towards fostering long-term peace and stability, which is all what we are aiming for. At the end, I won't take much time. I would like to conclude by saying that it's a testimony of a shared commitment to sustainable development, conflict prevention, and good governance that we are all here today, and we have been able to develop this joint program. It's important to create opportunities for the growing youth population in East Africa, often referred to as the youth bulk. Both Zeno and also our moderator talked about young people are looking for jobs, they're looking for opportunities, and we need to help them to find these opportunities. It's important that we really, by fostering green, inclusive economic growth, access to quality education, and meaningful employment. It's important that we also remind our partners, our national partners that we work closely with, that the duty of the state is to protect its citizens, its right holders, ensuring that all people, especially the youth and their communities, have access to a dignified life. In UNDP, we advocate for a holistic approach to development that integrates good governance, human rights, and sustainable peacemaking and building as essential pillars to prevent violent extremism and ensure lasting stability for future generations. With these few words, I would like to thank you again for the good contributions, the great collaboration, and I really look forward to the result of this joint partnership with our colleagues in RBA and with all our partners who are involved. Thank you again to Kwaika, to all involved, and I really look forward to today's launch. Thank you very much.
A round of applause. Thank you so much, Susan. We look forward to seeing you in person, but we're so grateful that you could join us virtually. What I'm hearing coming out in our interventions is WOGA and WOSA. Do we know what those are? WOGA is the whole of government approach, and WOSA is the whole of society approach. And I think that is a resounding theme that will keep coming up. And it's a reminder that we are all holding this responsibility to work together. Next to deliver her remarks is Ms. Songi Han, the acting country director of the Korea International Cooperation Agency, KOICA, Kenya office. Please put your hands together as she comes.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, my name is Song Han. As she introduced, I'm the acting director of the KOICA Kenya office. Nice to meet you all. Distinguished guests from the government of Kenya, Somalia, and South Sudan, and the UNDP colleagues. Thank you for inviting me here today. And it is my great honor and pleasure to be here with you to celebrate the launch of the regional program Peace Building and Preventing Violent Extremism in East Africa. On behalf of the Korean government, I'm very pleased that the efforts undertaken to see the culmination of this project initiation have come to fruitful today. As a responsible member of the international community, the Korean government supported the strengthening of response resilience so the lives, dignity, and lives of the people in crisis due to the disasters, man-made disasters, and the chronic crisis, yes, we are assured through the KOICA, the Korea International Organization, Cooperation Agencies. Indeed, the role of the KOICAs is promoting Africa's growth cannot be overemphasized. KOICA has been the major development partners to many nations in Africa and the world over. By being on the forefront of promoting Africa ownership through the project that supports the types of cooperation appropriate to individual community sustainable growth. Distinguished guests, threats of the violent are common in the Horn of Africa and are now intertwined on a local, regional, and international scale. perpetrators of violent extremism takes advantage of the long-standing social differences in the communities to undermine the social contact between the government and its citizens. Children, women, people living with disabilities, and internally displaced individuals have borne the brunt of violent activists in the Horn of Africa. Therefore, this project is timely because through it, yes, factors causing the violent extremism in the Horn of Africa will be addressed. Through analysis of conflict, drivers of violent extremism, and the capacity for peace. It will focus on youth empowerment, social and economic inclusion, and alternative messaging, local governance, enhancing knowledge and skills within communities, and trauma healing and social cohesion. While these efforts will focus on target population, such as at least youth and communities, the unique role of the women in promoting violent extremism and preventing or countering it is becoming increasingly recognized. Ladies and gentlemen, Koika, we eager to witness the positive change that will come for the various communities in Kenya, Somalia, and South Sudan through this project. It is my hope that the communities will, through this project, explore on what the future holds for them, which could very easily change the course of their future. In conclusion, I would like to take this opportunity to assure you that Korean people are friends of Kenya, Somalia, and South Sudan. The cooperation with the UNDP shows the Korean people's willingness and readiness to support the humanitarian development and the peace agenda for the target countries through this project. It is in this spirit that I wish to sincerely thank and congratulate all the people who have contributed to this project. Thank you. Asante sana.
Thank you, Ms. Songi. I think I can speak on all our behalfs when we say we are also your friend. Yes, thank you for those remarks and reminding us that the factors that are really at the root cause and are drivers of violent extremism will now be comprehensively addressed with this program, and that we look forward to a hopeful future. Thank you. Next, we will hear from Mr. Mohammed Humed, who is the Deputy Director, IGAD, Center for Excellence for Preventing and Countering Violent Extremism. The gentleman who likes smiling, please put your hands together as he comes. Thank you.
I think I can say good morning or good afternoon. So good afternoon. Dr. Raymond Omolo, Principal Secretary, State Department for Internal Security, National Administration, Ministry of Interior, and National Administration. Dr. Zainu Umar, Director, UNDP Regional Hub, Ms. Susan Dam Hansen, Manager IE, UNDP Regional Hub for Arab State, Ms. Songi Han, Deputy Director, Koika Kenya Office, distinguished guests, partners, and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is truly an honor to stand before you today at the launch of UNDP Koika Peace Building and Preventing and Countering Violent Extremism in Africa program, aptly named Building Resilience, Community Empowerment for Peace, Brace for Peace. These initiatives mark a significant milestone in our collective efforts to promote peace, stability, and resilience across our region. The acronym Peace Brace for Peace is particularly fitting as it embodies our determination to address immediate threat posed by violent extremism while simultaneously fostering long-term resilience within our communities. It reflects two-pronged approach. Not only are we striving to mitigate the pressing danger of radicalization and violence, but we are also committed to empowering communities to withstand and overcome the factor that drives conflict. Ladies and gentlemen, the IGAD region encompasses countries from the Horn and beyond, face multifaceted challenges exacerbated by socio-political tensions, economic disparities, and the impact of climate change. Violent extremism has surged as a critical threat, destabilizing community, threatening human security, and undermining development effort. According to recent data, over the past decade, the IGAD region has witnessed an alarming increase in extremist attack, with Somalia, Kenya, and part of Ethiopia being particularly affected by groups like Al-Shabaab and other transnational extremist networks. These groups exploit social grievances, economic hardship, governance gaps to recruit vulnerable population, especially the youth. Our gathering today therefore underscore the power of partnership from the United Nations Development Programme to the Korean International Cooperation Agency. Alongside our government and civil society partners, this program embodies the spirit of regional cooperation and joint action. It is clear that no single entity can address the root cause of violent extremism alone. We must pool our resources, knowledge, and expertise to make lasting peace and building a foundation of sustainable peace and development across East Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, as we embark on this journey, it is crucial to acknowledge the role that women play in peace building and conflict resolution. Women are not just victims in times of conflict, they are powerful agents of change who bring unique perspectives, solutions to the table. The inclusion of women in peace and security effort is not only a matter of equity, but a strategic imperative for building a long-term resilience. In this regard, I would like to commend the government of Kenya for their steadfast commitment to promoting the inclusion of women in peace and security processes. Last month, during the high-level forum commemorating the 24th anniversary of the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325, which IGAD fully subscribes to, the government of Kenya underscores the importance of increasing female leadership in conflict resolution and peace negotiation. The government of Kenya further highlighted the critical role women played in mediating conflict, rebuilding community, and sustaining peace. This advocacy for addressing the proliferation of small arms and strengthening social protection system is a testament to Kenya's dedication to peace building in conflict-prone area and of a great support to IGAD mandate. Today's launch of Brace represents a new chapter in our shared commitment to safer, more resilient East Africa. The work ahead will be challenging, but dedication to entire spectrum of stakeholders. I'm confident that we can achieve our shared vision of a region free of scars of conflict, terrorism, and violent extremism. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mohammed. I'm smiling, not just because we said we would, but that you've mentioned the powerful agents of change that women are. I think of a mother making sure her children stop fighting against each other. If that isn't mediation, I don't know what is. So thank you for that reminder. Sustainable peace is what we're after. We will next hear from Dr. Raymond Omolo, Principal Secretary, State Department for Internal Security and National Administration in the Ministry of Interior and National Administration in the Republic of Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Omolo.
Thank you, June, for presiding over this. First, apologies, I came in slightly late. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon once again. Our UNDP resident representative, Mr. Anthony. The Somalian ambassador was here, I think he stepped out a bit. Dr. Zainu Umar, the UNDP Resilience Hub Director, Ms. Suzanne, who is joining virtually, Ms. Songi, the Deputy Director for COICA, and Acting Director, I think I got that right, and the smiling gentleman from IGAD, Center of Excellence and Preventing and Countering Violent Extremism, experts and implementing partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon once again. I know this has been quite an interesting journey. I remember the initial conversations that we were having with the UNDP team led by Anthony and the team from COICA trying to put something together that would advance the various efforts that we've been trying to work on towards addressing the challenge. And when I read and look at our hashtag, or basically what you're calling Brace for Peace, we continue to build resilience and empower communities for the sake of peace. And I want to appreciate every player who has made this or who has been involved in this process, particularly the individuals from the 3 countries that are part of this program. That is Somalia, South Sudan, and Kenya. So allow me to take this opportunity to welcome all of you and to also extend my sincere gratitude to all the participating countries, the regional organizations, and international partners for your commitment to addressing the critical challenges that are posed by violent extremism. Your presence here underscores the shared responsibility and collective determination that we have to tackle one of the most pressing security threats that we face, not just as a region, but also globally. Today marks a significant milestone in our partnership towards lasting peace and development, and I'm honored to be invited by the UNDP team to be part of this important launch. As you may know, as a country, we have had we've been a long and strong advocate for peace, and we have consistently prioritized development over conflict. And despite our special status, where we have comparatively maintained peace and stability more effectively than a number of our neighbors within the Eastern Horn of Africa, we still face our own share of challenges on a day-to-day basis. In certain regions of our country, including the capital, we have regrettably witnessed occasional extremist activities. Just a few meters from here, we had the Westgate terror incident a few years back. In the north, we had the case at Garissa University. At the coast, there is Lamu, there is Beketoni, and still at the capital, we also had the Dusit experience. And most recently, the Shakahola tragedy in the coast in Kilifi County. And all this underscores the persistent threat of religious motivated violence in our nation. And it's always easy to look at it from more or less as an Islamic challenge. But if you think about the Shakahola spectacle that we are actually still dealing with, it tells you that what motivates us in the name of religion actually doesn't have boundaries, and it's not just confined to one particular set of religion. Now, these occurrences have not only led to devastating losses, but have also left us in a perpetual state of heightened security and anxiety. In the case of Shakahola, you have those who are very vulnerable, and those who actually were most affected were women and children. And they're the most vulnerable, and in our efforts to build resilience within our communities and to empower people, a lot of focus needs to be targeted at the most vulnerable amongst us. Moreover, the competition for natural resources and border disputes, especially in our arid and semi-arid regions, has similarly been a source of extremism. In these areas, pre-existing grievances are often exploited by extremist groups to further their own agenda. From these experiences, we've learned that our communities, particularly in vulnerable regions, are often the primary targets of these threats. And we've also come to understand that social cohesiveness and peace cannot be enforced. They must be willingly embraced by citizens to be fully guaranteed and also to be sustainable. And as we launch this program, I think the aspect of sustainability is very important. Kenya's journey on domestic peace building has accelerated in the past 2 years. In March last year, His Excellency President Ruto initiated a comprehensive evaluation of our peace building architecture, demonstrating the commitment to tackle the dynamic challenges related to peace, security, and social cohesion. And this we were able to work on with our partners, UNDP being one of them. The Ministry of Interior and National Administration appointed a team of independent panel of advisors comprising of 13 distinguished Kenyan peace builders to spearhead the national dialogue and formulate what we term the new agenda for peace in Kenya. While acknowledging the valuable contributions of existing peace mechanisms, the new framework identifies persistent conflict triggers and emerging pressures such as violent extremism. It highlights varying risks across different regions that contribute to radicalization and the escalation to violent actions. The peace-building architecture outlines specific violent extremist risks, including conflicts related to identity and politics, exposure to extremist ideologies, and sensationalist coverage through online and media platforms. And this has become a new frontier for propagating extremism based on what people either believe or what people perceive as what would be areas of grievances. Together with limited economic opportunities that we continue to experience, we are having a growing population, which is largely very young. The challenges around opportunities. And as a country, we've had our fair share of challenges around this space. And one of the biggest threats to security is the issue of youth unemployment or underemployment, where we have limited opportunities that are available, and this directly impacts on all the other facets of life. So this launch, ladies and gentlemen, therefore presents a valuable opportunity for us to take stock of our achievements, to assess the challenges that lie ahead, and chart a course of action that aligns with the new peace-building architecture in the context of our country. And it will also enable us to effectively address the root causes of violent extremism. Our country recognizes the crucial need to strengthen our national legal and institutional frameworks, enhance our border controls, and also to be able to promote regional cooperation. We realize that effective implementation of these measures requires more than just local efforts. It requires sustained political will, adequate resources, as well as enhanced international assistance and engagement. Our experience has revealed that the risks we face are not unique to just us as a country, but are common globally. Hence, we want to leverage on the collective security framework outlined in the UN Charter to address these threats effectively. We are grateful for the support provided by our international partners in this regard, and we recognize the important role that all of you play in helping us address the challenges of violent extremism. Let me conclude by encouraging all agencies here to engage with government institutions, including the National Counter-Terrorism Center, which coordinates efforts to prevent violent extremism, and the National Steering Committee on Peace Building and Conflict Management under the State Department for Internal Security and National Administration, which I head, which works to promote peace and prevent conflicts across the communities. Likewise, our network of over 500 community-driven peace committees, which integrate traditional dispute resolution involving elders, women, youth, and interfaith leaders. Kenya remains committed to promoting peace and security, and we will continue to work tirelessly towards achieving this goal, both domestically, regionally, and internationally. Just a few days ago, our president was in South Sudan to engage with his counterpart, just to try and see the kind of support that we can be able to offer. Of course, this is also tied to our history with the South Sudan. And we continue to do this across the region, in the Sudan, in Somalia, in the DRC, and a number of other countries. And beyond the continent, we have our National Police Service officers in Haiti. Of course, apart from showing our commitment, it also brings to the reality the complexity of some of the challenges. In the last 12 months or so, Haiti has had its fair share of complexities in terms of even the leadership. Yeah. So you start to work with one group, before you know it, things have moved, and we must constantly be alive to that and be flexible to those realities. So we greatly look forward to this continued collaboration, cross-learning, and exchange of programs with the governments of Somalia, South Sudan during the implementation phase of this regional program, and we want to encourage that more partners should join us in realizing the transformative recommendations therein. We are similarly grateful for the technical and financial assistance provided by the Korean government through KOICA, and the UNDP Kenya, UNDP Somalia, UNDP South Sudan, and by extension, the entire UN system. It is now my distinguished honor and pleasure to declare the regional program on peace building and violent extremism in East Africa officially launched. Thank you, and may the spirit of peace guide our deliberations.
Thank you so much, Dr. Omolo. I almost feel like having you say that last part again, because we went very excitedly to the clapping. You said, may the spirit of peace do what?
I don't want to speak from the reading, but basically, may this experience make a difference in the lives of the people that we care most about. So I'm paraphrasing it.
I like this one better. A round of applause now. Thank you. I really think it's important. You mentioned just how young the Kenyan population is. Our median age, I believe, as of this year is 19.8, which is very young. And so when we speak about the importance of involving the youth, it's not just we're not just paying homage to a phrase. We're actually speaking reality. And I think it's also important that we've mentioned online and social media platforms, because they can be friend or foe. And so we're looking forward to these ongoing efforts, and thank you for highlighting some of the already existing efforts that are already being implemented. We're now going to go and hear a little bit more about this program that has now been officially launched. Brace, for me, when I hear the word brace, it's usually we are bracing ourselves for impact. Have you heard that expression before? Brace for impact. It's never a good thing. And I like that we have reclaimed this particular expression for something good. Brace for peace. And to help us understand it a little bit better, we're now going to go into a presentation, a two-part presentation, beginning with Nerina Kiplagat, who is the Governance and Peace Building Coordinator, UNDP Regional Service Center for Africa. She will make the first presentation on peace building and PVE, or Preventing Violent Extremism in East Africa program. Please put your hands together as she comes. Nerina Kiplagat.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this is the beginning. Yeah, that's fine. Good afternoon, everyone, and all protocols observed. Very good to see you all here today for this program launch on peace building and preventing violent extremism in East Africa. My colleague Giordano and I will be taking you through an overview of the program that we have. The regional development challenges, I think, have been highlighted by a number of the speakers this morning. And what we notice from the national level, these have regional implications. We cannot isolate one country from another within a sub-region. And this is why there is a need to have more of a comprehensive approach. The conflict and violent extremism dynamics have been highlighted, also sitting within a sub-region with other challenges. We've had South Sudan also impacted by the situation in Sudan. More and more we're looking at climate change-induced disasters, speaking more about climate security. And this also has impacts in terms of displacement and food insecurity. So in terms of the responses, we are looking at a development response. We do note that security responses alone are not effective in terms of addressing conflict and violent extremism. And as highlighted, prevention always. So the need to really have more of a comprehensive approach in terms of dealing with drivers, triggers, but really the development approach to look at the structural issues and have sustainable peace. So in terms of the focus, it's looking at different types of ideology, in terms of strengthening institutions, and very much looking at the individual level and at-risk communities. In terms of the programmatic approach, I will turn over to my colleague Giordano and then return.
Thank you, Nerina. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. The Peace Building and Prevention of Violent Extremism program in East Africa takes a development approach, as was said, to tackle conflict, but also crisis. Aiming to strengthen community, especially young people, women, and vulnerable groups, the program leverages proven methodologies and insight from across Africa, the Arab states, but also other regions, to enhance socioeconomic capacities and livelihoods, thereby reducing the risk of radicalization and violent extremism. Through a coordinated portfolio-based approach, the program draws on local knowledge and expertise networks to address those complex, interconnected challenges effectively. And in doing so, it primarily addresses inequality. Also by prioritizing inclusive development, upholding the rule of law and human rights, combating corruption, promoting good governance, and encouraging civic engagement and participation. These are all assets to make society more cohesive and mitigating the risk of radicalization. By strengthening early warning and response system and utilizing data and technology, the program seeks to bolster community resilience and promote peaceful coexistence among groups in conflict in particular.
So we drew on years of ENDOM experience in designing the interventions of the program, and we could leverage on insight, best practices, and narratives from regional, national, and local practice. Essential learning include the following: livelihood and socioeconomic support are effective means to foster community resilience and provide seeds of hope in the future. We also gathered evidence that strengthening trust between community and security actors bolster public confidence in law enforcement, creating a foundation for sustainable peace building. 3, we also identified that systematically monitoring human rights violation is a way of getting insights on how governance gaps, inequality, and state violence can fuel violent extremism, enabling for more effective awareness and preventative measures. Besides the societal and community level, the individual dimension is also key. By empowering young people through skills training, entrepreneurship, mentorship, in promoting inclusive dialogue, development actions not only meet the immediate needs, but also the drivers and the root causes of extremism and conflict. So, additionally, other lessons we gather is that implementing gender-responsive and content-sensitive programming help to minimize adverse consequences of implementation, preventing the risk of exclusion and also enabling maximizing the positive impact of development. When we implement, we have to be attentive and knowledgeable of the political economy, of the conflict dynamics, of the stakeholder relations. That's crucial in order to make sure that our programming does not exacerbate those negative dynamics. We also learned that working with media ensure accessible messages, especially in areas with low literacy, while evidence-based research informs strategies for targeted intervention. So UNDP in Africa and in Arab states is known for its thought leadership on prevention of violent extremism. We have a strong history of research outputs, just to name one, the Journey to Extremism, which is our flagship reports. Last but not least, collaboration with regional bodies, as it has been said before, like the African Union or IGAD is critical for boosting coherence and regional capacities through tools such as early warning and early response. This enhances the ability to prevent and address threats effectively. Thank you, and over to Nirina.
So based on these lessons learned, experiences, and research, the program was designed in close collaboration with the key partners in the program and looking at where were the specific needs. It certainly takes on this holistic approach, development approach, which is very much in line and mentioned by our Principal Secretary in Kenya of the new agenda for peace highlighted in Kenya, and also a new agenda for peace as articulated by the UN Secretary General, which really takes peace in its positive form, so positive peace. So in terms of the objective, it's to build communities that are more resilient against violent extremism and violent conflict, and live in an environment more conducive for sustaining peace in East Africa. In terms of the outcomes and looking at the drivers and the needs, the socioeconomic resilience and livelihood capacities of at-risk youth being strengthened, as mentioned this morning, in terms of looking at why young people are joining violent extremist groups in particular. We see it's a need for employment or better jobs. And this is really coupled also with leadership training and also mentorship, so taking more of a holistic approach. Strengthening early warning and response mechanisms, really integrating violent extremism indicators within conflict early warning systems. And this is part of strengthening infrastructures for peace in the 3 countries. They're at different levels, so also looking at sharing experiences and lessons learned across the 3 to really enhance these mechanisms. As mentioned, the element of climate security, which is really coming to the fore. So we've also had this component where we're looking at the sub-regional level and also at the national and local levels in terms of how can we better integrate a community security lens within early warning and early response and having more of this long-term view. The component of strengthening institutions, and this relates to different types of institutions, religious institutions also being key. So this is to really build a capacity, and for those who do have the mandate, so just to emphasize that. So, and what we do see also in terms of risk factors, that education is a resilience factor in terms of individuals joining violent groups or violent extremist groups, and specifically also quality religious education, and the duration really matters in terms of resilience. So trying to support these institutions. Looking at the elements of reintegration, so ensuring that people do not return back into violence. So supporting both the returnees, but with a really more of a conflict-sensitive approach, also working with the communities who are receiving them. So supporting community-based reintegration initiatives, including livelihood packages, looking at also mental health, psychosocial support. This is an area that certainly needs more investment in affected areas. And looking at national and local strategies and responses, ensuring that they really are informed by ongoing analysis and research. We have certain tools such as the Crisis Risk Dashboard, but also really having a community of practice at the sub-regional level. The approach is very much of an ecosystem approach, having peace building and PVE programming at the center. And in terms of the different components of the program, which I've highlighted, looking at the collaboration, the reintegration, strengthening of institutions, strengthening early warning and response, and the socio-economic resilience, really being the focus of the project in a very integrated way. So it takes an area-based approach. So there are 30 target locations in which the project will begin. Also noting the dynamism of conflict and violent extremism, the project is also adaptable and flexible so that it can continue to be responsive to the needs. In terms of expected outcomes, we aim to reach 1.1 million people in target communities, looking at narratives and counter-messaging of hate speech, disinformation, which is increasingly becoming a concern, so working in both online and offline spaces, and this will be integrated also within the early warning and early response mechanisms. Engaging with 48 faith-based organizations, also as messengers of peace, beyond the strengthening of certain institutions, noting the trust often that people and local communities have with religious leaders. Engaging with 487,800 with community-based reintegration initiatives and including the full package, about 4,000 youth in terms of livelihoods, mentorship, and leadership, 57 national and community-level mechanisms for violent extremism and early warning response operationalized in target communities, really engaging with national strategies, sub-national strategies as well, strengthening them, their review as well as their implementation, and finally targeting at least 80% of young people who are reached to reduce the vulnerabilities by enhancing livelihoods and leadership in peace building and PVE. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to both Nirina Kiplagat and Giordano Segneri for just helping us to break down what will be quite the project for the next 36 months, I believe. And in the next part of our program, what is standing between you and lunch, my fellow ladies and gentlemen, is just some brief reflections. And so I will be inviting up on stage representation from Kenya, Somalia, and South Sudan, just to give us some of their expectations, some of their reflections as we look forward to what Brace for Peace will do for this sub-region of ours here in East Africa. And one of the most important things is being able to come back and say, we've done exactly what it is we committed to doing. I think that is part of the feedback that I've heard being highlighted, not just reviewing, but also coming back to check. Go ahead. Coming back to check, we have actually achieved some of these outcomes. Is it possible to get one more microphone at the front, kindly, as we prepare to welcome our panelists? The expectation is that they will walk up here with a smile on their face, yes? This is going to be our running theme for this afternoon. And we will just have a brief 15 to 20-minute engagement with all of them. We will not keep you very long because we have work to do. But it would be great to hear from the actual representatives of the countries that will be part of this project and program, rather, that we have launched today. So allow me to begin to welcome those that we will speak with and receive remarks and reflections from the government representatives and UNDP country office resident representatives. I will first call Madlena Monoja, Deputy Resident Representative, UNDP Kenya. Please welcome her as she comes. Welcome, Madlena. Abdullahi Mohammed Noor, who's the Director of Tubsan Center in Somalia. Lionel Lawrence, Resident Representative, UNDP Somalia. Please join us on our panel as well. It's cozy because we will be working close together, so this is great practice. Thank you. From South Sudan, Honorable Pia Philip Michael, the Undersecretary, Ministry of Peace Building, South Sudan. Please join us. And Dr. Mohammed Abshir, Resident Representative, UNDP, South Sudan. So let me share one of these. With your permission, I will stand here and just engage all of you. I hope you can see me clearly. Lionel, can you see me well? You'll have to adjust a little bit, but that's fine. So I will just ask one two-part question, and the hope is that you will all then take a few minutes just to offer your reflections on what the expected outcomes, a personal perspective, if you have one to share, would be great to hear as well, but no pressure. I think we heard from some of you at the beginning. So let me begin by saying, as you reflect on this new program that has just been launched, what are some of the ways you believe it will contribute to the existing efforts in preventing violent extremism and conflict prevention in the region? Specifically share some of the insights on how the implementation will happen in an inclusive way. So I will start with Madlena, if that's okay with you. Madlena Monoja, your thoughts, please.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. Honorable PS, thank you for being here with us. I'm very excited on behalf of UNDP Kenya to really be working with my colleagues from UNDP Somalia, South Sudan, and also the distinguished representatives from both countries. I think a lot have already been said in the opening session really about the importance of this program in addressing this threat of extremism in the region, in the Horn of Africa. And there is no better place than Kenya to be launching this program. I mean, PS Omola has already alluded to some of the incidences of terrorism in Kenya. We have all witnessed in Nairobi. And we keep hearing a lot in the northeastern region, especially, and sometimes in the coastal counties. So indeed, it's a threat that is not only maybe attributed to the Al-Shabaab extremism in Somalia only, but we can see the repercussions or the threat itself in Kenya and in a number of other countries. So indeed, this program brings the three countries together to share experiences in how each country has managed the threat of terrorism, to share information and to share intelligence also, to share lessons learned. When we came before the session started, already colleagues on counterterrorism in both Kenya and Somalia, gotten to know each other and already sharing contacts and sharing how they can benefit from this program across the region. We also see Kenya that, especially when you look at countries which are more maybe worse state of fragility, such as South Sudan and Somalia, we see Kenya as an anchor in terms of really stability in providing capacity also to these two neighboring countries so that they can be able to advance the fighting on this threat of terrorism. We see at this project also really facilitating or strengthening institutional capacities in these countries, whether in terms of policies, whether in terms of human resource development, whether in terms, as I said, of coordination, whether in terms of even tools, that have been tested and tried to be able to fight this threat, especially in terms of the online radicalization, the use of digital media, and really benefiting from capacities of the different institutions to be able to work together. To give opportunity to others, I would also say lastly that, as the PS has alluded to, a key element of really the threat to terrorism or conflict in particular is this issue of maybe identity crisis, the issue of identity politics, the issue of climate change, the issue of economic disparities in some of the regions that are facing this conflict. And we look at this program to be able to strengthen this community cohesion, to be able to work through structures at the community level, whether these are religious, whether these are traditional structures, whether these are women group, whether these are youth group, to really work together and strengthen the community cohesion and the community support and structures that are there to mitigate against violence from the community level before it even escalates. So I'll just stop here.
All right, thank you so much for sharing those reflections, Madlena. Next, allow me to speak with Abdullahi Mohammed Noor, representing Tabsan Center in Somalia. The question is the same one, just your reflections on this new program and any insights or proposals on how the implementation will aid in the expected outcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Excellencies, allow me to stand and adapt to all the protocols established in this morning. Let me take also this opportunity to thank the Kenya government for graciously hosting us here in Nairobi with the God-gifted lovely weather. Also I wish to thank Koika for generously support to Somalia, to Kenya, to South Sudan. And indeed, this program will contribute a lot to our efforts in peace building and state building in the region. And I do believe, rather than supporting individually these three countries, it's much better to do such kind of regional program. As I think is Giordano or someone else mentioned it, how it is important having such kind of regional collaboration and working together. It's quite useful and much, productive than working individually. As our enemy, they don't have borders and they do implement their criminal activities crossing our borders. And according to, as my colleague, the moderator, mentioned it in this morning, regarding the cost ratio of preventing and countering, and it's quite true. And we have a lot of good examples that we can ask the federal government of Somalia, or as a Tabsan Center, we do undertake the preventive activities to prevent violent extremism in Somalia. Also, we do undertake countering efforts as well. So I could rate even higher than that, the difference between preventing and countering. Example, throughout the course, we have managed to promote a defection and undertake the radicalization and rehabilitation and reintegration efforts over 9,000 individuals from Al-Shabaab. We can understand how this, the cost is quite high compared to preventive efforts. So if the individuals, they do accept such kind of ideology of extremism, it could be quite difficult to ensure those individuals to convert into ordinary citizens and normal individuals. And it requires a lot of efforts, a lot of resources, and way much expensive than preventive efforts. So it is, we do believe that it will contribute. Regarding the defection promotion efforts and reintegration and rehabilitation efforts, it is quite costly compared to the preventive. But what is much costlier than is fighting, continuous fighting against them, including that cost will be included in lives of citizens, of course. But I wanted to highlight one term, which is, yes, these individuals, they are claiming that this ideology is based on religious, but we call it, there is a friend of mine that actually narrated very well during the other meeting. Instead of using the term religious means, we prefer to call them so-called religious means. These individuals, they are not practicing, yeah, he's here. Sakawa, or he's the guy from UNDP over there. Yes, thank you so much. Yusuf, yeah, no, the other guys. So we don't believe that this individual is, what they do is based on religious, but it is so-called religious. An example, I have seen a terror group of Al-Shabaab, they are implementing criminal activities. They showcased like trying to divide the Kenyan citizens by calling this guy is not a Muslim, this one is Muslim. So they are killing the guy they are calling, he's not a Muslim, while they are killing, they are not killing the Muslims, but they are killing the others. But what about in Somalia? All of us, we are Muslims, and they keep killing us on daily basis. So that is a clear difference that this individual is, what they do is not about religious. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. A round of applause. Those are real practical examples on the ground, and thank you for sparking those thoughts in our minds and those questions. Allow me to come to Lionel Lawrence now, the resident representative, UNDP Somalia. Sir, the same questions to you. What are your insights on building resilience and community empowerment for peace as this program has now been launched? Do you foresee inclusivity in its implementation? And what other remarks or reflections could you share?
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll start also to join my voice to those of the colleagues that thank COICA as a partner, not only as a financier, because the design of this program has been done jointly. So thank you for the quality of the partnership. I would like to start by saying that this program has all the ingredients for success, starting with a very strong political will and alignment to national priorities, as much as I know for Somalia, but I know the situation is the same in Kenya and South Sudan. Just to give you a few elements of context, 2022, a peaceful transfer of power, a new government comes into Somalia, announces that they want Somalia to be at peace with itself and at peace with the world, and waged a war against Al-Shabaab. Today, Somalia has reconquered some territories, some districts that had been under the rule of Al-Shabaab for many, many years. The government is ramping up its effort in terms of stabilization to strengthen the social contract, deliver services, ensure security, deliver justice in these newly recovered areas. But The presence of my colleague to my left in the creation of the Thompson Center acknowledges that military offensive alone will not defeat Al-Shabaab. There is a need for a softer approach. There is a need to engage with communities at the local level. In fact, Somalia wants to catch up with the rest of the world. The president said recently, it cannot be business as usual. The status quo can no longer be a solution. Somalia needs to catch up with the rest of the world, and as we speak, has embarked into what our moderator was talking about this morning, a whole of society and a whole of government approach to consult with government, civil society, partners on the formulation of a national transformation plan, a plan that will bring peace and prosperity and that will put an emphasis on economic development. So there is hope and there is a positive trajectory for Somalia with this government that recognizes that we must invest in resilience of local communities, of institutions, if we want peace to last and peace to be built. And when I look at this program, the core objective is exactly that, building resilience and empowering local communities for peace. So this program is spot on what is needed for Somalia. And I believe the way it's been designed, and Giordano explained from the assessments, focusing on the root causes, focusing on the reasons why people join these violent extremism groups and tackling them one by one. So issues concerned with socioeconomic factors as a reason, issues concerned with religious ideas or marginalization or grievances emanating from human rights violations. The program has looked at each one of these reasons and has designed responsive activities to address those in a manner that is dear to the heart of UNDP, an integrated approach, a multifaceted approach, an approach that will deal with systems and ecosystems, I should say. So how this program will connect with other ongoing activities? In fact, it will connect with a whole range of interventions that UNDP is already implementing together with the government. As we speak, so I will give a few examples. As we speak, we're supporting, together with other UN agencies, a youth peace and security action plan. They are going around the country asking young people what such an action plan should consist of, how interventions that are targeted and relevant could improve peace and security in the country from their own perspective. We also have a women peace and security project with, for example, up to 17 women networks across the country. So these networks will be a fantastic partner for the program we are launching today, because they are in dire needs of support and integration with other initiatives, including the sub-regional dimension on how knowledge and best practices will be shared. And I'm sure this is going to be extremely impactful. But I could also talk about reconciliation through insider mediation, or informal justice systems through alternative dispute resolutions, or helping the Somalia police force with community policing. All of these interventions will be interconnected with this one and will benefit from these efforts. In terms of focus on women and youth, the point was made this morning several times. It is really central, in my view, that we focus on these groups and not as victims, powerless victims, I should say, but as agents of change that can be empowered and can engage into socioeconomic activities that will give them agency, that will give them a voice, and through which they will contribute more actively to conflict resolution and peace building in Somalia. I also should mention an ongoing initiative together with UNSOM that we call a peace building approach to address violent extremism in Somalia, where we have supported a network of Islamic scholars And this network of Islamic scholars will also benefit from the project we are launching today. Because they meet regularly, they are eager to learn from other regions and also to share their experiences on the work they are doing together with Top Center and the government, the federal government of Somalia. The inclusion bit, I think it's central because some of the drivers of joining extremist groups talk about being disenfranchised, being marginalized. So the approach must be fully inclusive. So what do we mean by that? Who are the stakeholders? What are their respective needs and grievances? This will start, in fact, this year. This is part of the annual work plan that we have discussed just an hour ago. And I'm very excited about this program. I'm sure it will yield great success. Thank you.
Thank you, Lionel. Thank you so much. A round of applause. We'll move now to our brothers from South Sudan. Honorable Pierre Philip Michael, the Undersecretary in the Ministry of Peace Building, South Sudan. You have a Ministry of Peace Building. I like it. What are your reflections, sir, and what are you looking most forward to in terms of the outcomes?
Oh, thank you very much. First of all, I want to stand on the existing protocol and also in a special way to recognize the presence of the PS from the Ministry of Interior and also from COICA. First, from South Sudan, we are happy to be here, and a special thank you to COICA for the support to the people of South Sudan. This is not the first project. UNDP has before implemented a very successful project in South Sudan, engaging with the women and the youth. And this is another timely project that's going to support our community and our people in South Sudan. Here is what we know, that the conflict dynamics, especially in our region, has changed. We used to have before conflict between state actors. Now that is shifting. For the last 30 years, it has been between state actors. But now there are these non-state actors, the young people who have taken arms and who are very active in promoting conflict in our society. And so that means then there is a shift in focus in addressing conflict in the region. I want to appreciate this project because although in my country it's not purely violent extremism, but then we have conflict, communal conflict that is driven also by the young people. And so I'm sure that this project is not one size fits all, but then it is context specific as well. This project is specific, in fact, for South Sudan in terms of the implementation of the peace agreement, especially Chapter 2 of our peace agreement talks about the public safety, it talks about security of our people, and also Chapter 5 that talks about the transitional justice. And all these elements in the implementation of the peace agreement is being addressed partly by this project. And this project, I'm happy that it is also focusing on building resilience. If there was money to invest in this region, I think this is where money should go. We are not, as a region, doing a better work in terms of job creation. I think we are not yet there. We are not like America, other big countries that are focusing on building, creating more jobs for the young people. In the Republic of South Sudan, one of the elements for stability, as we believe it, is really sustainable livelihood skills to the young people, value addition to their products, and access to market. If this is done, we believe there would be more stability in our country. And so talking about empowerment and resilience building, this project will just build on the efforts that we're already doing. Another critical part is the early warning and early response system. This project will strengthen our peace building architecture in terms of working with the peace committees, some of whom we already have across the country. And what we have been lacking is making sure that, we build their capacity to continue to do those activities. But as you know, in our country, it's not easy because of a lot of issues, the infrastructure and so on and so forth, and also the size of our country. We are a bigger country, That does not mean we are up for a grab, but then there are a lot of challenges because we are told we are almost the size of United Kingdom, Germany, Holland, and now if we put in the contested area, including Lebanon. And so this type of, the landscape, and we discuss population scattered across this bigger landscape means you have to have a robust early warning and early response system to be able to respond to those issues. So listening this morning to those elements of early warning and early response is really very important. Also, this project will build on our existing efforts. We have drafted a strategy to combat hate speech together with the support from UNDP and the Ministry or the Department of Communication, because hate speech is one of the drivers of violence and conflict using social media and so on. So this project is timely because it will now help us to unpack and be able to implement this strategy. We are doing a lot of work with our community structures. In South Sudan, we believe that any transformation cannot be successful without focusing on the pillars of our society. That is the youth, the women, the traditional leadership authority, and also our religious leaders. These constitute the pillars of our society. And so if you want to do any efforts to stabilize the community, you cannot do without this. But then this means their capacity also will need to be strengthened so that they are part of the efforts that we are doing. The other area that this project will support us in, as you know, of late, we have other additional crises, including the influx of refugees from Sudan. And also we have climate change, a lot of floods. Most of our communities have lost the little that they had, and some of them are being threatened still by the floods caused by the climate change. So engaging these communities in dialogue, social cohesion is something that we will be keen on. And we are really very happy that South Sudan is invited and is part of this, and we are thankful to COICA and also to UNDP for this support. In the first week of December, we will be launching our strategy on youth, peace, and security agenda, the United Nations Security Council Resolution 2250. We have drafted a strategy, but then to operationalize this strategy, we'll need this type of effort where you bring the young people together. So all in all, we just want to say thank you very much, and very much appreciative, and we look forward to working together and making sure that the objective of this project is achieved in South Sudan. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Finally, we'll hear from Dr. Mohamed Abshir, Resident Representative, UNDP.
Yes, so you start by why are we here today, the importance of this launch, and we'll continue.
All right, so thank you and good afternoon. So today we are launching what we are calling Brace for Peace program, which is building empowerment, building resilience for community and community empowerment. And this is a program that is being rolled out by the 3 East African countries, that is Kenya, South Sudan, and Somalia, with the support from the Korean International Cooperation Agency, together with the United Development Program, the UNDP. And the main reason why we are doing this is that we have a lot of challenges around peace and security in the region, particularly in the context of Kenya. We've had our fair share of challenges around security. Whether you look at the incidences that we've had to deal with in the north, in the North Rift, in the coast, but also even in the capital city, Nairobi. Now, this is also what the other 2 countries also face. Actually, for them, it's probably in a much bigger scale. So this program is targeted at trying to build resilience within the different communities, but also to create a sense of empowerment as an anchor to having a peaceful region. It is an $18 million program that will run for 3 years. It's not the first time that we are having a similar program. So it's going to build on a lot of experience that has been learned over the years, but also taking into account the new challenges that come with the advancement within the different communities. Thank you.
Yes, so yes, there have been a lot of challenges to building peace in Kenya and also Somalia and South Sudan. Perhaps what are the main issues you intend to tackle with this program?
So primarily this program is looking at violent extremism, which is largely driven by religious differences or teachings. And when you talk about religious teachings or experiences, whether it's Islamic or Christian, each of those have their own excesses. And we are trying to see how we can mitigate that. So we'll be involving the religious leaders, a number of faith-based organizations in trying to run this program. We'll also be working very closely with the youth and women who, to a larger extent, particularly the youths, have become agents of this violent extremism. The women particularly have bore the brunt of violent extremism in terms of being the most affected, but also as a community we believe and we know that women are one of the biggest agents for change. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mwisho tumeona wale Kware wanasema kwamba hadi leo licha ya kwamba watu wengi waliuawa wakatupwa pale na hadi sasa serikali hajawasaidia kupata hata data na they are really stranded from where we are seated. And again, visa vya femicide imekuwa ikitapakaa kila mara. Kama wizara, I don't know if you have something being done to tell them.
I think over the last few days or weeks, we've had a lot of concerns on issues around femicide. And I must appreciate our security officers, the National Police Service, because from time to time they've been able to follow through on a number of those cases. They've provided information, but then we also have a lot of active investigation that is going on. So I would not want to speak much into the exact details of what they picked up, but from time to time what we are doing as a ministry and as a government is making information available to Kenyans and also intervening in cases where we found criminal elements and those who are culpable. And we process them through the normal criminal justice system. Thank you.
Thank you. We had more questions, but because of time,
Asanteni
we can
sana.
allow you to. Asante.